Did you start it?
Yep.
There we go.
Here live.
Flawless intro yet again.
always.
I like my like internet's delayed over here, so I don't usually see when it goes live. But what's up, everybody? David Jones here at Tenacious D Jones on X, here with Stix Picks on X. That's my boy Nick up in Chicago still.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
20 minutes west of the city. It is a beautiful day today. 42 degrees.
Oh yeah. Have y'all been getting snow yet?
We got like 3 to 4 inches the week before Thanksgiving, and obviously it didn't stick or anything. It was just a shitty day to drive around that day, but after that it was good to go.
Cool, man. Well, y'all are about to get just pummeled for the next 4 or 5 months, I'm sure.
Yes.
I want a little snow down here in Atlanta, where the SEC championship game was held yesterday. Congrats to the Georgia Bulldogs. Now I'll eagerly await and see if Alabama's going to make the playoffs. Vegas doesn't think so. Apparently, the line moved a lot this morning in favor of SMU. Who do you think should get in, SMU or Alabama?
Alabama. I think any sports book out there would probably open Alabama like minus 11.5 at worst versus SMU. I feel like it's like, I know that like bookmakers don't matter to the NCAA, but like at some point, people that know stuff should probably be a part of that.
Right.
Because I think Alabama would beat the barn doors off of SMU. So it's like, all right, they're the better team. We all know it. Sure, they had some mishaps this season. Just get them in. Get the best 12 teams in.
Yeah, some bad mishaps. Last night it got all the way down to like Alabama plus 230 to make the playoffs. Now they're back up to, I don't know, like 440, 550, something like that.
Yeah.
Usually that stuff kind of leaks the morning of. I know the committee met at 8:30 again this morning. And I don't know. I mean, look, I don't think we deserve it. I mean, we lost 3 games. What are you supposed to do? SMU, though, like we would probably beat them. But they only lost 1 regular season game, 2 if you count the ACC championship, which, by the way, there's no rule saying that you can't be penalized for losing your championship game. But anyways, we'll wait and see. SMU's probably in, so good for them. They're going to get waxed the first game. Yeah. But we're here to talk. We're here to talk about Week 14 NFL DFS. Interesting slate. Let's start with Nick. Just how are you overall feeling about the slate today?
Very unconfident. I don't know if uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is the word, and I usually like weeks that are uncomfortable because I think it's like I'm taking educated risks in tournaments that a lot of people won't do. There's a lot of condensed chalk, a lot of great plays out there, a lot of like staples for me that I'm going out of my way to get, and that is the hard part right now. I will be 100% truthful. Until I woke up this morning, Aaron Rodgers was my GPP quarterback.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I'm going to go that route now, but yeah, I was all in on Aaron Rodgers, leverage off of Braylon Allen, and also just a game script with that defense being so banged up that I like the 80-mile projection thrown at 39 times. So really the only guy that throws it more than that is Jameis Winston. So I'm not playing him.
Yeah, you're saying with the Jets defense being so beat up, the game script is for Aaron Rodgers to have to throw it.
Yes.
Yeah,
and no Breece Hall too. So it's like a guy that doesn't he doesn't hand it off in the red zone anyway. Now he doesn't have Breece Hall. I know Braylon Allen's still a very strong player and an absolute tank of a running back, but everything just screams to me that this could be a game that he throws for 303 and they still lose by 2 touchdowns.
You know what I didn't even realize is that Allen Lazard is back.
Yes, sir. Full weapons in the pass catching game. I mean, again, outside of Breece Hall, but Lazard. Oh. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Tyler Conklin's still a really good route runner and catches everything. He's going to be 1% owned and no one's going to play him. The hard part is I don't know who to stack him with. So that's my main lineup had him stacked with Tyler Conklin, play one of the value running backs, and you could afford the world.
Yeah, I mean, you play all the value running backs, 2 of the value running backs. I'm playing a lot of the value running backs, but I have Aaron Rodgers ranked 4th on my GPP quarterback list. I don't know if you saw the article or not. Okay. I mean, he is $5,300, which is super cheap. Going up against the Dolphins, who have been better on defense, honestly. At the beginning of the season, they were god-awful. But you've got Devontae Adams at $6,700, Garrett Wilson at $6,600, Allen Lazard, who I'm about to dig into more, $4,400, and Conklin's $29,000. It's an easy game to stack. And yeah, he's going to have to throw it. Plus, they've got, the whisper, should Aaron Rodgers be benched? Like, obviously, he's never going to be benched. He would just never return to the team if that were the case.
Yeah, Zach, it's been a gross year for my player pool, but it works sometimes. So I don't know.
Dude, last week I wrote every single player that was in the Millie Maker winning lineup. The $20 Millie Maker winning lineup was in my article, except for Jaden Daniels and Brian Robinson. So that Washington stack, every single one of them. And I am pissed that I didn't win a ton of money. So I'm hoping that changes. Hoping that changes this week. It's pretty aggravating when you can identify all the spots but not get the build right. So I'm gonna try to not do that again this week. I need a big week. I haven't had a huge main slate week yet. Maybe you're muted.
I feel like that's a beauty of an optimizer, though. It's like when you are just all over the slate, like your article was the absolute nuts last week, pretty much. And I think I was very high on Jaden Daniels pregame. So on the Sunday show, you combine those two. It's probably a great week. But yeah, it's just so damn hard if you're hand building to get all the right combinations of these guys. And that's why I mainly stick to single entry. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, if you need to use an optimizer, you don't have to go spend a ton of money to use an optimizer. I don't think a lot of people know this. We have an optimizer, and you can get in the door at Win Daily Sports for cheap. You can get 50% off with promo code SICKO. So don't go off and purchase, a $70, $80 optimizer from somebody. We've got an optimizer. It's a good optimizer, and you can get in the door for like really cheap. I mean, I know it's under $10 if you just sign up for a week using promo code SICKO, 50%.
Yeah, and it's insanely easy to use. That is the one I use when I do use it.
Cool. Let's go through quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Then we'll do our favorite plays of the slate. We are going to be out of here in 49 minutes. If you have questions, throw them in the comment section or hit us up in the premium Discord at windailysports.com. Quarterback, we already talked about the Jets a little bit, but you said that you woke up or went to bed thinking Aaron Rodgers was going to be your quarterback, so you must have another thought now. So just talk to us about the other guys you're considering.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, price agnostic, Josh Allen is probably – no, I'm not even going to say probably. He's the best play on the slate overall in this game, in this week 14, quarterback, wide receiver, running back, anything. I'd say maybe Kamara is number 2, but Josh Allen, just if you could afford him, play him. There's a lot of value out there, and that's what's very interesting to me is like his ownership is right around 5%. I figured that would, help people pay up to get a guy like Josh Allen, who's literally a world beater right now and probably the favorite to be MVP of the NFL. So he's where I would really want to find a way to get to. Dawson Knox is now like a value stack with him because Dalton Kincaid's not going to go. So that is kind of what's changing my mind a little bit today is Josh Allen. And the other guy that I'm very interested in is Sam Darnold. I hate playing like popular quarterbacks. I did end up having a great week last week with Justin Herbert, which is disgusting. I never play a 30% owned quarterback like that. And I did last week and I hate myself for it, but finished second in the GPP because the rest of the lineup was beautiful. But I really like Sam Darnold here. Mainly because I think every single time I'm on a show with you, I love Justin Jefferson. I love Justin Jefferson this week. He is a priority play for me. So it's very hard for me to fit Justin Jefferson with Josh Allen, but I can do it with Sam Darnold. I have nothing wrong to say about Kyler. I'm just going to play him in cash. I'm not going to go there in tournaments. His ownership is going through the roof. He'll probably be the number 1 owned quarterback on the slate. And yeah, I still like Aaron Rodgers. It's more of just a game theory thing for me. Like when they're paying down, they're paying Will Levis. I don't think this is a really back and forth game. I actually like Jacksonville to win outright. Tennessee's defense is the walking wounded right now. They have like 7 key players and a lot of run stoppers out too. So I do think that this game, like Tennessee wants to run the football. They don't want to drop back and throw it 35 times, keep this clock going with the ball on the ground. I love Tony Pollard here. We'll get into that position too, but I think Jacksonville can run the living shit out of the football. I think Tennessee wants to run the living shit out of the football. I think that game goes well under the total. So I have no interest in Will Levis. So when I'm looking at like actual pivots down low, Aaron Rodgers still just seems to check every single box for me, besides the fact that he's 41 years old. He's dropping a fucking documentary in the middle of the season. What a piece of shit, though. Can I? I know every radio station's talking about it, but this guy like didn't go to OTAs, showed up late to preseason because he said he wanted to be alone in the woods. Alone in the Woods technically was with a whole camera crew, like watching him do some sort of herbal drugs and find himself. And then he's going to drop it in the midst of one of the biggest disappointing seasons for the New York Jets when they're like the 3rd favorite to win the Super Bowl preseason. Now they're going to be like, 4-12 going into week 16, and his fucking documentary drops in the middle of the season. Like, he's a piece of shit, but we don't lose points for being a piece of shit in this game, so I'm still very interested in Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. So you brought up Kyler Murray gaining some steam. Can you explain that to me? Because I don't understand. They played Seattle 2 weeks ago. He had a bad game. He didn't even throw a receiving touchdown. I mean, he scored 11.3 DK points. Something I'm forgetting there. Like, I don't understand.
Over 280, didn't he? Like it was a good
285
game in the air. He just couldn't get, like, they've sucked all season long in the red zone. Trey McBride is probably the best tight end in the NFL. Arguably, Brock Bowers. I'm saying those two are better than Kelsey at this point in their careers. Yeah. 0 touchdowns for Trey McBride. These guys just stall out in the red zone. It seems like every defense that plays against Arizona is kind of bend, don't break. They'll spy Kyler in the red zone and he's not getting it done in the red zone. But 285 against Seattle. You add a touchdown or two to that total, and that's a very, very good game. This is in the dome now. It was a little bit rainy in that Seattle game, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right, yeah.
So I like him, and he's one of the few quarterbacks on the slate that should be in a back-and-forth environment and can run for 40 yards. So I get it. Like, he is probably the safest play, and he's 6K. So, yeah, I'm going there in cash. I'm going to try to find something else in GPPs.
I'm going to start at the bottom here. Aiden O'Connell, 4,800. I mean, I think with the way that you can build around him, 4,800, you could fit anybody that you want. I don't think that I know that. You've got all the value RBs. You can spend up at wide receiver. It'll be a popular build. I have him ranked at the top for GPP quarterbacks, but I don't know, man. It's still kind of sketchy. He did throw for 380 and 2 touchdowns against Kansas City last week. Like, that's good. He does have Brock Bowers. He does have Jacoby Myers. He has Tucker. Myers and Bowers are going to just get the absolute piss targeted out of them. So you could play one of the two. And if one of them goes off, you don't have to have Connell. But if both of them do at their salaries, which are fair, then you're probably going to want O'Connell. I'm going to have one lineup on my 3 with Aiden O'Connell. Probably run it back with Mike Evans. I know that's going to be a popular build, popular way to do it, but I think he can exceed salary at 4,800. Are you stepping off Aiden O'Connell here? Do you think that's a bad play? Do you think that's chasing points? Or, I mean, he showed a little promise last year. Obviously, last game was good for him. When he gets to start, he's viable. Like, he's just as viable, if not more viable, than Bryce Young, who people all of a sudden think is like going to be a great quarterback because he strung 2 good games together. I mean, 2 out of however many 20 isn't that great. But what do you think about Aiden O'Connell?
I hate going off against UNC, especially Sia last week was just on the absolute nuts with Bryce Young and how cheap he was, and he had like 24 points. I should just played him over fucking Justin Herbert, but I have 0 interest in Aiden O'Connell. Something about, I don't know, like he's probably gonna approach the 10% owned, but he's 4,800. I always like to kind of think back, like the devil on my shoulder is your voice, play the best plays. I think someone even put it in the chat here. 4,800 for a guy. I believe he's projected to throw 35 times in the sports book, and completions is the juices on the over 23.5. So it seems like a pass script type of game. I really like Sincere McCormick a little bit in this game, is more like the leverage there, but I don't know. Jacoby's good to go, right? Everything should be fine there. Obviously Brock Bowers is a world beater, but like, that's kind of my thing. If that many people are going to pay down for Will Levis and Aiden O'Connell, I feel like we could find somebody just a little bit better down there in tournaments.
Sincere McCormick, I wasn't even considering him. So, that's interesting. I mean, Mattson is he officially ruled out?
Yeah, he's out.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's Abdullah and McCormick. I mean, you're playing with fire playing either of those 2 running backs, but 4,600 for someone who's going to run like his life depends on it. I don't hate it.
That was off my radar with Abdullah and McCormick. Abdullah gets it done in the pass game so much, right? I mean, He did what against Denver. He had a great game, but his price came up. He was 4,300. Now he's 4,700. But I can't play him over the other value guys. We'll get into the value RBs here soon. Maybe you have a different opinion. Other quarterbacks interested in here. You said it with Josh Allen. I'm fine with it. Jalen Hurts makes a lot of sense. Obviously, if you're going to do something like fade Saquon Barkley, pulled up last night because I'm trying to figure out if I should play Barkley or if I should play Hurts, right? So when you get down on the goal line, you can push it with Hurts in and score your points that way and get absolutely vultured by Barkley. So me and Kevin Adams were pulling this up last night about how what is the percentage of inside the 5-yard line rush attempts allowed by NFL teams. So we're trying to see if the Carolina Panthers let teams inside the 5 a lot of the time, or if they just get gashed and give up big plays. So On the slate, the Carolina Panthers give up the most inside the 5 rushing attempts and the most inside the 5 rushing conversions. So to me, not that that can completely predict anything, but that leans more to Jalen Hurts than it does to Saquon Barkley. But if you look at how Barkley's been putting up his massive scoring games, it's because he breaks a 50-yard touchdown, right?
Right.
So when you're getting down there inside the 5, or really maybe not even inside the 5, maybe inside the 1 or the 2, then it's Jalen Hurts. So I don't know, man. That's a tough call. We know the Carolina defense is terrible, that they're the worst team against the run in the NFL. Hurts or Barkley makes a lot of sense to me. Kind of going on a tangent there. I'm into Tua today as well. Tua's priced as the 4th highest quarterback, $6,300. He's strung together 3 straight good games going up against a defense in the Jets that doesn't have Sauce Gardner. That's good. Tyreek Hill is whatever Tyreek Hill is now. Waddle can certainly get it done. Jonnu Smith is an absolute world beater. I love him. Second favorite tight end on the slate. Devon can catch passes. Like, there's no problem going with Tua there. The game script could get you away if it turns into an A-chain game. So understand that. But Tua, he's putting it together, $6,300. I like Tua. And then I wanted to ask you about Caleb Williams. Going up against San Francisco. San Francisco's beat up on the offense and on the defensive side. Caleb, nice with it the second half of the last game on Thanksgiving. Pretty terrible the first half. $5,600. He played a better defense right now in Detroit, 26 FanDuel points last time. Minnesota, 29.9 DraftKings points, excuse me. However, those two defenses, the game script leads to the pass a lot more in Minnesota and Detroit. I think they give up the most fantasy points to wide receivers, or at least 2 of the top 3. Any interest in Caleb Williams, 5,600 against San Francisco on the road?
I'm indifferent. I was going to ask you about 2 other guys right there. Okay. I mean, yeah, they're banged up a little bit, but the 49ers defense is still so damn talented. Like, Deommodore Lenoir is good to go. Hung Fanga is back off the IR, which is big. Obviously, they don't have Nick Bosa. Dre Greenlaw is going to be out too. So, like, they are banged up. I get it. And they're playing very, very well on the offensive side of the ball for fantasy points, I should say. At least that second half of the Detroit game was very good, because I think all the Caleb chalk was drawing dead in that first half, but they went nuts in the second half. So I don't know. It is Caleb going back to California too. Like, he's definitely a guy that, like, wants to prove a point. Like, he's not someone that's probably out partying with his friends and everything like that because he's back in town. I think he wants to put on a big show. So I get that narrative of it. He's one of the few quarterbacks that can run for 30, 40 yards. I do like the mindset here. It's cheap. Yeah. I just have the hardest time of, like, who I'm going to stack him with, but I also fear that San Francisco is going to run the ball like crazy and that this pace is going to go down a ton. I'm more interested in Geno Smith or Matt Stafford at that price range. I fear I don't have any of those guys. Like, Matt Stafford, the easiest double stack in the world, 5,700, probably playing from behind against Buffalo. It's going to be a home game for the Bills. It's a home game for anybody that goes to LA. And then Geno Smith, the pass rate over expectations are second to just Jameis Winston. So a team that's going to chuck it a ton too. And they don't have Kenneth Walker. So I don't know, but Arizona's defense is really good lately too. So,
and Charbonnet's going to be involved.
Yeah,
Charbonnet involved in the pass game. Didn't mean to cut you off there. I haven't been. Stafford gave me nightmares last week. I loved him last week with Cup, and it did not pan out. I don't know. He wasn't looking so great. Geno, I haven't really considered either, just because I'm more on Charbonnet. But you could go like a Geno, Charbonnet, a DK or JSN stack if you wanted to. I'm not personally there. I thought you were going to ask me about Kirk Cousins.
No, dude, that fucking guy. What was he doing on that last interception?
Oh,
just throw the ball away. I don't know. I'm a hard pass on that guy. I hope he feeds Drake London. I like Drake London again this week, but no, I'm interested to see how he does against Brian Flores, just blitzing the living shit out of him every single play. So I don't know. I think this game could get out of hand a little bit.
I hope not. I'm considering Kirk, but I don't know. That's a lot of quarterbacks. We touched on plenty. I think Jason is answering questions on the comment section here. Someone just asked any love for Geno. You just answered that. Thoughts on Herbert? Go ahead.
I kind of like Geno, but it's, again, I don't like DK Metcalf's going to be 2% owned and he's 6K. That's interesting.
Sean Bartley says thoughts on Herbert on FanDuel. I'm probably not getting there.
No, I'm not playing anybody against the Chiefs D.
Someone saying nobody's on Russ. Yeah, I mean, I get that. He popped off last week, playing up against Cleveland again. Cleveland does give it up through the air. That's a good point. You've got Pickens, who is going to play today. It's not the worst play in the world. Russell Wilson. I'll never play him again, probably, but
I mean, 1% owned. I was interested in him a little bit, but no, there's just so many good options.
yeah, C is in here talking about AOC. He's on him. Aiden O'Connell didn't realize the AOC thing. Yeah, he texted me earlier this week and said that's his $1 million bet, Aiden O'Connell. Let's move on over to running backs. A lot to talk about here with the chalk plays. I guess I will just kick it off. I mean, look, the chalk running back cheap guys, Zach Charbonnet, Isaac Guerendo. How'd I do there? And Braylon Allen. Yeah, yes. There we go. So I'm playing Charbonnet, and I'm playing Guerendo. I messed it up more that time, but I mean, look, Charbonnet 4,800 when he was starting earlier in the season with no Walker, averaged 21.8 DK points per game, involved in the pass. He's going to run it. He's a good back. Look, I'm just playing him at 4,800. Like, I don't care about chalk. The name of the game here is to exceed value, and Zach Charbonnet should exceed value. So I am on Zach Charbonnet. As far as the 49ers run game goes, so and now I'm going to start butchering it. Isaac, we'll call him that, $5,400. Good workload. Should get a decent workload here with no Mason, right? No CMC. When he's got an opportunity, he's looked pretty good. I referenced some of the earlier games where he got an opportunity in the article, almost 100 yards on his plus a 76-yard run in week 8, or in week 6 and week 8, 88 all-purpose yards and a touchdown on 14 carries and 3 receptions. He's also going up against the Bears. The Bears are ranked 30th in DVOA against the run. But here is a really good stat. So when filtering rushing stats among RBs with 40-plus carries, Isaac has 42. He is second behind Saquon Barkley in yards before contact. So that's good. The Bears are dead last in yards before contact allowed. So you have the guy with a smaller sample size who can bust off long runs before getting touched, going up against the Bears who are dead last in yards before contact. Seems pretty good to me, so I'm probably going straight back to Isaac. And then lastly, Braylon Allen, probably my least favorite of the bunch, but he is $5,000. He is also a good running back. There is no Breece Hall. He's going up against Miami, worse earlier in the year, but they're still 25th in DVOA against the run via FTN stats. So I'm fine with playing all these dudes. No problem with them. I'll play them all 3 on a lineup. I don't care. And just try and beat you with the wide receivers and the quarterback. But what are your thoughts on these 3 value guys? You can even weave in the Raiders if you want to.
Yeah, I think I would, if I had to fade any of them, I'd fade Braylon Allen. I think that it's also a guy that's not going to run a ton of routes. He probably does get 2 catches. I think that's exactly what I have him projected for. But Charbonnet is going to be insanely involved in the pass game, regardless of what happens on the ground. His rushing props like right around 60 yards. Braylon Allen's, I think, is in the 50s. Again, like, I'm telling myself that this is a game that Aaron Rodgers throws it 40-plus times, and we will see a little bit of Isaiah Davis for the Jets run routes out of the backfield. So if I'm playing one of them, like I want them to be a key factor in all of the offense. Like Charbonnet runs a 2-minute drill for Seattle anyway, so he's probably not leaving the field unless he needs a breather. Love that. 4,800 happens to be the cheapest one of them all too. So yeah, I don't see how you fade him. Isaac Guerendo, no Trent Williams. Like, yeah, it is what it is. Props love him too. I'm either playing all Isaac Guerendo or I'm going to play the Bears defense and not play Guerendo. So I feel like with Guerendo, he's not going to run a lot of routes either. Patrick Taylor's a better pass catching back. Guerendo just, I feel like Kyle Shanahan never liked him this whole season, because even when he was like, when it was just Jordan Mason, Guerendo should have been getting there some spell carries, and he just really didn't. So
I mean, but he was green coming in. I mean, he's still a rookie.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how you fade any of them, but for me personally, I really want to find a way to get to like Tony Pollard or someone in this mid tier that no one's going to play, like a James Conner or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, Guerendo's fine. I would rather have him over Braylon Allen, but I think Sharps is an absolute lock button at this point. And Guerendo, it's kind of, you tell yourself, like, they are a run heavy team in San Francisco. He's probably going to get 15+ carries.
Yeah.
And they do a very good job. Like you said, the Bears do not get contact behind the line. So most of his carries should be a 3 or 4 yard gain at worst. So, and then he's obviously got breakaway speed too. So I don't know. I don't know what to do there. I hate taking all the fucking chalk running backs, but I like them all too. So besides Braylon, I think
it's just they're all cheap. Like if you didn't have so many to choose from, you would just like if you only had the option of choosing like Braylon Allen, if so let's say Walker was playing and let's say Jordan Mason was playing, like you would just jam him in, right? Yes. You would just jam him in because it'd be like, oh, that's our guy this week. Now you've got 3 or 4 of those guys. I don't know. I'm just going to play him, man. Like it's a 3 running back week for me. Look, I'll spin up for Barkley. I'll spin up for Kamara. I'm sure we're about to talk about them a little bit. Pollard, a lot of people are kind of getting on. I haven't looked at the ownership percentage, but I hear people talking about Tony Pollard. But look, name of the game is to exceed value, and I think at least 2 of these guys are, probably all 3. What are the running backs that you're on, since you're having, you're not so sure about the value guys?
I'm going to fade Saquon Barkley. I can't afford him, so that's really the only reason. I guess the other thing is he may not play at all in the second half, but that's just me trying to talk myself of why I can't afford him. Devon Achane, a little too expensive for me. Alvin Kamara, I understand. I think this is probably the best spot in the world for him against the New York Giants. Bobby Okereke is out too. Like, they are very banged up throughout. I mean, the Giants suck too. My only fear there is Kendre Miller is active. Jamal Williams is active. There is no Taysom Hill. So, like, I don't think any of that matters. They're going to ride Alvin Kamara until he doesn't want to play football anymore. So,
you think he's washed? Do you think Kamara's washed?
I do not know. He's still really good. He's good at evading tackles. He still lays the wood a little bit. Maybe he lost a step or two, but when you get 5 to 6 to 7 catches a game, does it really matter if you lost a step or two for our purposes on DraftKings?
Yeah. Okay.
I would say no. James Cook, I'm very interested in. Probably can't pay $7,400 for him though. Other than that, it's like you probably just pay the values. I don't think that getting different at running back is the key to massive money on this slate. The only other guy I'm really looking at is Tyrone Tracy at 5,800. This is a really good spot against the Saints D, especially if Malik Neighbors is going to be on some sort of a pitch count or not. But I really want to use Tracy or a guy like DeAndre Swift, who's like a running back that can get me 3+ catches and still run for 55+ yards and get the goal line carries. I think Tyrone Tracy checks that box a little bit more than DeAndre Swift does. Like 5,800 is very affordable. He would have been 30% owned if 2 of these value backs didn't open up.
You like Drew Lock at all?
No.
Okay. No.
I was interested a little bit. Like, I wanted to play Malik Neighbors everywhere, and then with the injury stuff, I'm gonna pass there.
Bucky Irving, he's in. They don't have to. I mean, he's dealing with the back. Yeah, great spot dealing with the back and like a hip injury. They do have Tucker. They do have White. They're going to run 3 running backs regardless. Like, I don't know. Maybe give Tucker the goal line instead of Irving if he's hurt because you're making a playoff push.
And he was 5,600 last week. Right now he's 66. I think just with a little bit of injury concerns, I'll pass that for sure. I'd rather go to Pollard or James Conner.
Zach Jeffer says Kamara about to break 1,000 on the ground.
I'll take the under, but yeah, it could be that type of game for him.
Is that some kind of is that just a joke? That's not like some kind of season.
I don't know.
Record or something, is it?
Well, it's not a record, but for Kamara.
Well, not record,
1,000 rush yards. Let's see.
He's got 894.
Okay. Yeah. He'll probably get to 1,000 this week. Player props having like upper 90s. It's something that I've looked at. So, yeah.
Well, he's going to do that regardless, right? It doesn't have to be this week.
Yes.
You want
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with rolling the dice on Sincere McCormick a little bit, but I just don't think he's going to run many routes. So unless he gets in the end zone, you're probably looking at a 6 to 8 point game, and in GPPs, that's just not going to get it done.
All right, I think that's enough on running backs here. Let's move over to wide receivers. Running back is easy position. I'm thinking Mike Evans, top dog. I'm going to have to go to Mike Evans. No one else on Tampa can catch the football except for K. Dotton and Rashad White and Bucky Irving. Or no other receiver can catch the ball. For Tampa, Mike Evans needs to average 96 yards per game for the rest of the season, continue his 1,000-yard season streak. Hello, takes on the Raiders, 25th in DVOA against receivers, ranked 15th against the wide receiver one, so middle of the pack there. Look, I think you're just going to get another game where Mike Evans gets fed here. Hopefully it's not some kind of blowout like that's going to hinder him, but I think he can still get to 100 yards, get in the end zone once or twice. Classic Mike Evans game coming up, coming off of 12 targets against Carolina in an oddly close game. I don't know if we're going to get that again. I never love a Las Vegas or a West Coast team flying over to Tampa Bay playing a 1 p.m. start time. Like, that's not fantastic in my opinion, but also doesn't really seem to matter that much. Mike Evans over 100 touchdown. He's my favorite wide receiver on the slate at that price tag. What do you say, Mike Evans?
Locked in.
Yeah, lock him in.
Yep.
Who's your favorite guy?
Pickens is inactive, so there you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's wild. So yeah, definitely we're not playing Russ now. Whoever was asking that, going to be.
You know what? Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I had Van Jefferson written up and I deleted it.
Put him back in.
Man, I think I might have to. Go ahead and
Van the touchdown, man. I love Van Jefferson. I still think he can produce in the NFL someday, but it's getting old. All right, let's see. Mostert also inactive. I don't think that matters to anybody. Justin Jefferson's my play of the week. I love Mike Evans too. I'm probably paying down a quarterback because I want both of those guys in my lineup. Up top, a little bit more. Like, I don't know if you want to roll the dice with Devontae Adams or Garrett Wilson. With how much zone Miami plays, this should be a little bit more advantageous for Garrett Wilson. What are your thoughts on Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, right.
Is he just not interested in?
I think he's hurt.
A football player anymore.
I think he's hurt, and I think he's toughing it out. I mean, he's a wide receiver with a wrist injury. Like, they know that. Tua knows that. Waddle, everyone knows that. Mike knows that. So I just think he's injured, man. I think he's going out there and playing more of a decoy role. And I think he can, I get they're trying to make the playoffs. I guess he's getting better probably week to week with the wrist injury. I don't know how serious it is. Probably end up having off-season surgery or something. He had a somewhat cryptic tweet this week about all good things come to an end. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. Is his contract over? Or is he thinking about retiring and going being a father of 15 or whatever it is right now?
I don't know. Maybe he was referencing the Alabama playoff run, but either way, like, he could, he's just a GPP play, man. Like, I don't know. Like, you can't have confidence in it.
No.
And I think he's injured. Like, there's no reason if he's injured why you wouldn't, because you can throw it to anyone in this game. I would say Jonnu Smith's going to get his. You can just throw it to Waddle. I mean, you can throw it to Devon. So I'm off him. All
right.
Like, we have to take.
You got to take a stand.
Like, one thing that's been getting me a little bit caught up this season is I have so many memories of what guys have done in the past. And we kind of have to take a step back. And I referenced this with Nikhil Westbrook-Akine that, like, you have to look at what he's doing now. Same with Tyreek Hill. You have to look at what he's doing now. It's not good for Hill. It's great with NWI. So I'm off Hill. Got it.
Understood. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Drake London? His ownership's going to be through the roof. His player props are through the roof. Minnesota blitzes the living hell out of every single quarterback. So that's where I'm kind of like a little bit off the longer ADOT guys like Darnell Mooney, though Darnell Mooney does show an upgrade in coverage here against zone blitz, which is all we're going to see out of Minnesota. But against blitz in general, like, Drake London gets fed the football.
That's
Kirk
right.
Cousins locks into one guy. That's kind of been his whole MO, his whole career. So I feel like he's too cheap.
Yeah.
He grades better than, like, guys that I love to play in tournaments like DK Metcalf, Marvin Harrison, Garrett Wilson. I like a ton too. What are we doing with Drake London?
I wrote him up. I like him. Vikings. So I think Kirk's going to sling it here today. I mean, he's definitely going to. I don't think that going back to Minnesota. He hasn't been throwing it downfield. So that kind of takes Mooney out a little bit for me. And then when you look at, what Minnesota does for wide receivers, it's a lot of that's depending on game script. A lot of that came from the beginning of the year, but they do allow the most fantasy points to wide receivers. And when you have Cousins locking in on someone that will be Drake London, who was the fantasy darling the first half of the season, they had some down games, bye week. They need to win, or the Buccaneers are going to win the NFC South. I'm back on Drake London here at the price tag. His price tag went up to 7,200 earlier in the season. It's down to 64 now. Found an interesting stat last night. Maybe my favorite stat. I don't know how much it's going to matter because you still have to get into the red zone here. But London is the highest targeted wide receiver in the NFL inside the 20-yard line. Did you read my article?
Yes.
Okay. 46.2% of the time he is targeted in the red zone. 50% of the time, if the Falcons are in the red zone, he's getting the ball. That's insane. Like no one's even close to that in the rest of the NFL. But the problem with that is the Vikings, they don't allow you in the red zone a ton of the time. They also allow the third lowest conversion rate in the red zone at home in the NFL. I think London's going to get his 10 targets here, and I think at the price tag he can pay off. So yeah, I'm into Drake London.
Cool. Yeah, and that's, I think, your whole stat there is a subtweet against Kyle Pitts and why he's just never going to work out. So it's Drake London, it's Bijan in the red zone, and that is it. I really love DK Metcalf here. I always like DK Metcalf, but yeah, 6,200. I think I said 6K earlier, but yeah, 6,200 for a guy that can just catch a 60-yard touchdown and has 4 inches on every single corner Arizona has and speed on them. I like that a ton. Khalil Shakir, we saw in the chat. I think Shakir is more just like a cash game guy for me. His ceiling is 18 points. I'm probably not there this week. At the paydowns here, Brian Thomas Jr., Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy. I have no interest in Jerry Jeudy. I think this game's pace just completely died the second that George Pickens was ruled out. But yeah, Jerry Jeudy's on an absolute heater. And, Pittsburgh's defense is very solid, but still, Jerry Jeudy moves all over the formation. He's not just going to see Joey Porter Jr. all day long. Calvin Ridley, again, I fear that game is well under the total with how banged up the defenses are in both teams. I think can succeed on the ground. And then Jacoby Myers, everybody in the world.
Yeah.
Like if you had to choose 3 for cash games, it's going to be Mike Evans, Drake London, Jacoby Myers. That is where the field is going right now.
It's good.
And I don't have a reason not to play Jacoby Myers besides the potential injury stuff and lack of red zone upside. Yeah, this is why it's so damn hard for me, because like the guys I like are the guys everybody likes.
Is it hard or is it easy?
For me, being a contrarian mindset, it's hard. I don't want to play all these guys that everybody's playing.
So this is what's going to happen, right? This always happens. Everyone's going to, like, you at the, it's Thursday, you build a perfect lineup. You're like, I got these value RBs, Myers, Evans, like, great. Brock Bowers, good. And then like an hour before lock, you're like, how can I get different?
Yes.
Like, that's what, so everyone's like, now I got to rip apart this perfect lineup and then start, jamming in other weird pieces because George Pickens is out or something. I don't know. I'm going to try to not do that. I'm going to try and play the best guys. That's what I'm going to try and do. And people will look back and be like, oh, why did I destroy that work of art? Like, because you got nervous.
Yeah. This is a great spot for Marvin Harrison Jr., though. I will say again, it's Seattle runs a lot of man coverage. So it's going to be obviously upgrade to Marvin Harrison when it's cover 1, upgrade to Marvin Harrison against the blitz. Seattle has been blitzing a lot more this year. And then it's going to be McBride and Marvin Harrison against the 2 high looks that Seattle shows. So I do like Marvin Harrison here too. 6K for him. Like, he is very similar to Drake London in red zone targets. It is through the roof. Kyler just abuses him in the red zone. I'd love to see a little bit more volume. Like, if we can combine Drake London's volume with Marvin Harrison's like standalone red zone upside, he'd be one of the best wide receivers in fantasy football, and it's just not there yet. Any value wide receivers like below 5K? Like, I know some people are interested in Caleb. Like, do we like Rome Odunze? Is DJ Moore sitting there in plain sight at 6,100 about to break a slate and get different? Or what are we doing here?
Yeah, I like DJ Moore and I like Keenan Allen, but, you don't really have to go dumpster diving this week, right? Like, as we've been doing the show, I've been making some notes, and I'll look into them here in a second because I said I would. Allen Lazard. Now we have to look at these Pittsburgh guys, but I have Cleveland pulled up, and you were talking about Jerry Jeudy. Not much interest there. He's going to be hella popular just because of what he did last week. I'll take Elijah Moore over Jeudy this week. Okay. Judy's going to run more of, Jeudy does move all over the field, right? As does Elijah Moore, and it's close. And I mean, Moore gets more of the slot routes, okay? So just slightly more. That's going to put him on Sutton a little bit more than Jeudy. So you don't love that, but he's also going to bounce out to the outside for the other 40% of snaps here. So I feel like Pittsburgh's a good defense. They're going to be like, hey, don't let Jeudy beat us. Maybe that opens up Elijah Moore a little bit more, who's been great, anyways, with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's going to throw it a lot. So that's just a quick little touch point there on Cleveland. Now, if I pull up Pittsburgh, because people are asking about these cheap wide receivers, with no Pickens out, which automatically my mind kind of goes to the running game or Cleveland defense, but Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson. So obviously there's going to be a lot to go around with cheap price tags with Austin and Jefferson. The reason I was getting on Jefferson a little bit more this week is because I was just looking at what his primary matchup would be. So I see him, and that could be changing now. Well, with Pickens out, Van Jefferson's probably going to be on the left side of the field more than Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin should probably still play in the slot. I don't know who they're even going to start at wide receiver 3, if they're going to do that, or 2 tight end sets with Freiermuth in Washington. Don't know, but
probably Mike Williams, right?
Yeah, I guess it's Mike Williams, isn't it?
Big Mike, yeah.
Huh. What, has he been doing anything at all?
Not even a little bit. That one touchdown, I think his first game, he ran the go route, the moon ball, caught it in the end. I just
don't know if you have to get there. Is it like are we looking at my man Washington, perhaps? But you don't need to punt tight end. There's too many good tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, Pat Freiermuth clearly gets a bump up, but
I guess
he wants to run the football anyway.
So I wrote up Freiermuth last week because he was going up against the Bengals, right? No one played him. He goes out and has his best game of the season. It worked last week, so Russell Wilson probably goes back to it. I get that.
Yeah,
you play Cleveland defense.
Yes, I'm fine with Cleveland's defense. 2,400. They're still going to get pressures. Russ is the king of taking sacks. He's not going to avoid them. He just kind of sits down like Tom Brady used to do, which doesn't make sense to me because Russell's still pretty active with his legs. But yeah, I don't know. Or could be, and he just is not. So I don't know.
MBS.
I have a King's ransom on his player prop over 2.5 receptions. So that is it. I'm leaving it at that. It's going to be windy in that game. I think that helps my case because he's going to have to run some underneath routes. And I just need 2 quick slants on the first drive, go punt it after that and then get another one and call it a day. Turn that game off.
MBS or Alan Lazard?
MBS, no doubt.
I don't know. Really? No doubt?
Yeah, I fear that Lazard's going to be on some sort of a pitch count or something. Like MVS is still the X in that offense. So yeah, give me the X all day.
All right. 14 minutes left. Any other wide receivers we need to touch on here?
No.
I got Myers, Evans, London. It's fine. The Dolphins we kind of talked about. Malik Neighbors, he's in or out? Do we know?
Sounds like he's going to go and see how it goes. So I loved him going into the week. I'm just not going to mess with it when there's so many other wide receivers in that price range that are good.
Yeah. If he were
like Garrett Wilson at all or no? Like I feel
I don't know who to choose because like if I pull up like coverage and I have it pulled up right here. So there's just nothing that leads me to him over Adams.
Right.
Can you give me something that does? I would love to hear it.
Miami plays a lot of zone, so the breakdown there is, they're going to blitz too. So I have Adams obviously as the upgrade versus the blitz, and then against cover 3, which Miami mainly covers or plays cover 3, it's advantage Garrett Wilson. So and then cover 2 is Conklin in the slot. So I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but it's like in the red zone, it's Devontae Adams.
The Titans guys we talked about a little bit. I like NWI again. I've got we don't have time to go over it here. I've got a whole section on why he's a good play and why Calvin Ridley's a much better play over on FanDuel. Separated by $100 on FanDuel, NWI and Calvin Ridley, and it's $1,000 gap over on DraftKings. So don't make that mistake. All right, that's enough. That's pretty much all of them. Tight ends. Brock Bowers, my number 1.
Yeah, easily.
Jonnu Smith's my number 2.
I don't like Jonnu as much this week. I think he's safe for a floor. I don't think this is a game they need to use him a ton because I don't think they'll be playing from behind.
Okay.
I like TJ Hawkinson. Super cheap. Going into the week, I was going to tell myself Kyle Pitts can score a touchdown in this game. I still think he can, but I'm never going to play Kyle Pitts again until further notice. I really like Pat Freiermuth. I think the field will probably like Pat Freiermuth a little bit. And then thoughts on Juwan Johnson. And again, I do think Tyler Conklin gets in the box this week based on the red zone coverage Miami runs, but Lazard being back hurts that theory a little bit. True. Otherwise, just pay up for the Trey McBride or Brock Bowers and call it a day.
I just don't think you need to do it. Like I don't need a $3,400 tight end. But fair. Do I think he'll exceed value? Yeah. I mean, so it's not a bad play. Maybe that game's just total slop though. I mean, still New Orleans coming off a bye, right? No, they didn't. Taysom Hill got hurt last week.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a 12-9 game or something, just garbage, right? That would be par for the course in the Meadowlands, I believe.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of other thoughts on tight end. Like if you pay down, you're probably playing with fire when 40% of the field's using Brock Bowers or Trey McBride.
I like George Kittle. Yeah, I like Kittle this week. So look, I like the run game there too. I don't particularly love Debo. Jawan Jennings, I wrote up, but I wrote it up and then I kind of talked myself out of it the second half of that, just looking at like the coverage a little bit more. So, what you want to do when facing the Bears, and I've been attacking this lately, is go with like the wide receiver 2, the wide receiver 3, because Jalen Johnson's going to be covering the best wide receiver that isn't a slot receiver. So Debo runs out of the slot 37%. Jennings runs out of it 45% of the time. So technically Jennings should be on Debo a little bit more, but he's not going to be on George Kittle. So George Kittle is going to be, let's call him the wide receiver 3 here, because you haven't been getting much out of, what's his name? Wide receiver 3. Thank you. Yeah, Pearsall. So I think it opens it up for Kittle here. You can catch against Chicago, just not the guy that's on Jalen Johnson. So Kittle's okay, but he's my tight end 3 behind Bowers, behind Jonnu, which you're making a good point about game script there. But I'm still going to have him in my Tua stack. And that's it. TJ Hawkinson, Jawan Johnson. Those are the guys I have.
Respect.
You got a defense that stands out?
Steelers. Philly.
Okay.
I mean, I think you could pay up at defense this week too. I feel like the Steelers are one of the, take any position in general at 3,500 and you're like, can any of these guys get me 9 points? Whether they're wide receiver, tight end, anything. Pittsburgh's defense is probably like the safest play for that. Don't hate. I mean, the Saints defense is probably like everybody's cash game and like optimal. If you're using an optimizer, like that's going to pop out a lot. I'm okay with that. I have no interest in the Tennessee Titans defense. Literally, Roger McCreary's out. I'm pretty sure Kenneth Murray Jr., the linebacker, is going to be out. Devondre Sweat, I think, is highly questionable. He didn't practice all week. If anybody has their inactives, that would be great to know. James Williams is also a really good run stopper. Like, he's going to be out. Awuzie did get activated, so that part is interesting. I think he's going to be a good player. Jerome Baker, highly questionable, didn't practice all week, so I don't know. They're the walking wounded right now, and I have no interest in them. I'm okay with the Bears.
Are you telling me you like Mac Jones?
I do not like Mac Jones. I just like Jacksonville to keep this one close and cover the
okay.
If not win outright. I like Travis Etienne, but not in the DFS perspective.
Evan Ingram?
Yes, I could do that. He's more of a cash game guy, though. He gets 5.5 catches, 40-yard prop every week. Like, that's safe for cash. I don't see an upside. I don't think this game shoots out like people think it will, just because both defenses kind of suck. But Arizona getting a ton of sacks lately.
Yeah.
Seattle's offensive line sucks. I'm okay with that. That's great leverage off of everybody playing Charbonnet. If you're fading Charbonnet, you can play Arizona's defense.
I think you can play them both together.
All right. Fuck it. Like, Millie Maker lineups are just ridiculous right now. Like, people are playing like defense against their quarterback and stuff like that. So, like, again, I wish they would just get rid of defense on DraftKings and FanDuel, and we could play skill positions only, but that's not the case.
Do it like college football. You can play it's super flex on DraftKings.
That would be
no
fun.
Defense.
Yes, that would be very fun. Colby Parkinson thoughts? I know I can't even answer that. Well, Buffalo D. Yeah, I'm okay with that too. It's going to be a home game for him.
Someone asked about Khalil Shakir. I'm not on him. I mean, I'm more on Amari Cooper there, which we probably could have brought up.
I think he's a cash game guy, and that's it. Like, it is what it is. If you're playing Josh Allen, stack him with Shakir or something like that. That's fine.
Is it technically it might be next week, but the week that Amari Cooper went just absolute nuclear to get everyone into the their home league fantasy football playoffs last year, it does not matter, but it's close. When he went for like 250.
Was that Jameis playing quarterback, or was that when Joe Flacco?
Flacco.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember that. That was wild.
You think Josh Allen's better than Joe Flacco?
I do.
Okay.
He's gotten by now. I mean, Joe Flacco's got a Super Bowl, though, so no one can take that from him.
Nicole's asking 3 RB play: Sharps, Barkley, Kamara. Yeah, obviously great. Obviously great.
Yes.
All right, let's go. Favorite running back, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. Kind of sum it up here. You see any other questions outstanding, or you have any like bets that you want to, dangle in front of the people? Bucky Irving.
I put them all in my article, but I still think that if you're getting plus 115 range, I'm MVS over 2.5 receptions. Take it.
Seeing if anything else popped up. I don't think so. All right, quarterback. See, that's the toughest one for
Travis Etienne all-purpose. It's 51.5 on Caesars. Take that. He is going over 51.5 all-purpose. He may do it just on the ground.
Who's your favorite DFS quarterback?
God damn it.
Say it. I know you want to say it.
I don't want to say it. Yeah, I'll do it. Fuck it. Aaron Rodgers.
Last gasp.
I love it. Feel terrible, but I love the builds I get with it.
Are you going to double stack him?
No. He's going to be 1%, and it could be Lazard, it could be Conklin, it could be Garrett, it could be Devontae. Like, that's kind of the issue I have with them. It's not as condensed of a target share as I want it to be. But if Miami scores, Rodgers is going to have a good game.
Miami's going to score.
Yeah. And, old man down in the humidity should be good for his body, a little mobile.
Yeah, it's kind of a sauna down there.
Talking myself into this one.
Man, I haven't been watching the games, but I hear they're not good. But I also don't trust what people say online because the Jets games, because everyone overreacts every single week to everything, and it's disgusting. I can't stand it. So my favorite DFS quarterback that allows a good build is going to be Aiden O'Connell. Sorry, it is what it is. I don't think he's going to be the highest scoring guy, but I think he exceeds salary. But I'm going to probably want to double stack him if I do go that route. Like, I'm not going to play Aiden O'Connell in just Jacoby Myers. Like, I'll probably have to double stack him. And let's see. I don't know. I guess that's my guy. I can get off the other guys. I like Tua too, 6,300. Running back. Who's your? Give me one or two guys here.
Tony Pollard and I'll say Sharps.
Yeah. I wonder if we should have said Caleb Williams that last section. Tony Pollard and Charbonnet. Charbonnet is obviously a lock. Isaac Gordino. Help me out. Garindo. Yeah. Isaac Garindo is going to be my other guy. I mean, that's it. It's easy. That's all you do, right? Saquon Barkley. You guys want me to say Saquon Barkley? He's pretty good. He's in a good spot. Wide receiver.
Justin Jefferson. And oh, God damn it.
What's the
Drake London? Can I play them both that much?
Yeah. Why Justin Jefferson? Why so high on Jefferson?
Because Atlanta plays nothing but cover 3, and Justin Jefferson is a star against cover 3. It's like a 40% expected target share. I don't love that Jordan Addison is becoming like a 1B to him, but I feel like Justin Jefferson, when the cards turn, he's going to be like 10% owned. If this game does shoot out, he's the best wide receiver in football.
He is. And the Addison game too, like I'm happy with myself for calling the breakout Addison game. And
that was a great call, by the way. That was a Bears game one.
Yeah, because he's like, you just look at what they do against wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Like, they're bad against him because he wasn't going to be on Johnson. That was going to be Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's good. Justin Jefferson's pretty good at football. Who's your other one, London?
I guess I hate the ownership, but I just don't see a game that he doesn't go at least like 7 for 70 here against that blitz. It should just be 15 targets.
Give me Mike Evans and Nick Westbrook-Akine going right back. Can do it again. Gonna do it again. He's not going to get 2 touchdowns, I don't think, but he's just playing good. The past 8 weeks, he's been awesome. Like, I don't understand. He should be priced. I put in the article, he should be like priced in the top 10 right now. If his name wasn't what it is, he'd be priced in the top 10 right now.
I can't argue that.
I mean, Yeah, just go back, look what he's done. And we didn't get to cover it, but you should go read what I wrote about the Titans wide receivers, because I'm pretty proud about what I found there for them. So yeah, obviously Calvin Ridley's in a good spot too. That's the problem, is I was kind of going back and forth. I can make a great case for either of them, but you want to play Ridley over on FanDuel, NWI on DraftKings. Tight end is Brock Bowers. Okay, obviously Brock Bowers for me, and it's hard for me to get away from Jonnu after what he's been doing, even though you make a good point about the game script, but also go Bowers and Jonnu.
I'm going to go, as if, you got Bowers. I'll go McBride, and then my pay down's going to be Freiermuth.
Talking about Calvin Austin in here. How much is he?
Very cheap.
He's 33. I mean, yikes. Okay, that's pretty good.
Is Roman Wilson going to be activated, or they just quit on that guy?
I don't know who that is. Was Calvin Austin on the Browns?
I don't think so.
Has he always been on the Steelers?
Yeah, I think so. He's young. He's 25. He's got to be on his rookie deal still.
Let me look at something real quick. Calvin Austin, that's pretty good. Calvin Austin.
Honestly, I'm kind of happy that George Pickens isn't playing today, because then I don't have to think about playing him. I feel like Denzel Ward would talk so much shit to him, and he's going to punch him and get kicked out of the game.
Denzel Ward or Newsome?
Well, both.
Yeah, I wrote up that I think that Newsome's just going to PI him the entire time, so he's not going to get points.
He's going to lose his fucking mind and hit somebody. So he's probably like, Coach, you know what? And he got his fine from the NFL already too. So Pickens has some shit going on with him. Obviously, we all know he's kind of a little bit of a psychopath. But
in 3 games against Cleveland, Calvin Austin is averaging 29.3 yards per game. That doesn't really matter though.
No.
Yeah, 3,300. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, he's going to be the wide receiver 1 now, right?
Yeah. Probably.
It's 12 o'clock on the dot. Let's go.
All right. Call it. Yeah. Defense, anything you want to? I mean, I'm okay paying down for Jacksonville or Chicago if you have to. Other than that, I think with all the value on the slate, just pick someone that you know is not going to get negative points.
That's good. That's good advice.
Yeah. Like,
pick
don't play Carolina. Probably don't play Las Vegas.
Don't play Davis Allen in that college football game yesterday, who got negative 0.4 points as a running back, as the highest projected running or highest owned running back on the slate. Don't do that. Second highest owned. I did it. Don't do that.
That sounds tough.
I fell from 14th to out of the money in the second quarter of the last game on the slate.
Ooh. All right. Well, good luck. Appreciate everybody hopping on here this morning, and let's see what happens. I got to go build some lineups because I'm in a blender right now.
Okay. All right. See y'all next time. Bye.
See ya.